Hello and welcome to your messages for the week. Today is Sunday, the 20th of February, 2022. So there's lots of twos there today. So if you haven't already seen the messages for February, for the month of February, then I'll put a link in the description and the video in the end screen because they are going to be super relevant still. So take a look at that. So let's dive in to the cards for this week, which are just falling out. Wow. Those three just definitely wanted to come out. Right, yeah, three's a magic number. Wow, they came out really quickly, didn't they? Didn't even give me time to let you know about my 2 places left on my 6-week online Heal Yourself course. So I'll put a link in the description to that as well. So if you want to release your trapped emotions, learn how to do it for yourself using the emotion code, and also how to identify what beliefs are holding you back and how to install positive beliefs of self-love, self-worth and confidence and all those lovely things. We look at all sorts of things. We look at the map of consciousness. We look at other ways of raising your frequency, the importance of raising your frequency, and what I call lessons in awakening en route on this evolution journey. So yeah, check that out. Check the details out. Plenty of testimonials from previous participants. But next course starts on the 3rd of March, and I'm really excited about it. So if you want one of those 2 remaining spots, then get in touch ASAP. Okay, these cards look amazing. We've got the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords, yes, she is about thinking. Swords are air, they are mental processes, so they are thought processes. But rather than, yes, there's 2 ways of looking at it. There's adopting positive thoughts, and there's kind of like the releasing the negative ones. She, I think, she's my sign of letting go. I'm getting the message of letting go. Let go of expectations. Let go of, this has been coming up quite a lot actually, for me personally and for people I've been reading for privately. If you want a private reading, I'll put a link in the description where you can book that. It's letting go of expectations. Now, some of our expectations, well, I think most of our expectations are from our programming. We've been programmed a certain way. You know, you have to go to school, you get all your, in England, O levels and A levels. I mean, I don't know where they're going to get anybody anymore. I'm not saying don't study, of course study. I'm not completely sure whether the stuff we've been studying is true or not. I mean, I think it's definitely, a lot of it's not relevant. I don't think people are leaving school with the skills that they need to live, you know, in today's world. And as a school teacher for 30 years, I saw myself that the individual creativity wasn't nurtured as much as I would have liked to, you know. So definitely we need to question everything. I think we need to question everything. But basically, I think our expectations have been programmed into us. Making money as a priority, as a main objective, even the language that we use. What do you do for a living? You know, if anybody asks me that question, what do you do for a living? I'm just going to say I breathe. I mean, what do you do to live? I breathe for a living. But just the language, what do you do for a living? It's like, the question is, how do you make your money? Well, you know, that's not the question we should be asking. And how many times do we ask children, you know, what do you want to do when you're grown up? Or, you know, what do you want to be when you're grown up? And we expect them to come out with some kind of job title. Really, no, I think the question is, what do you do for fun? I mean, especially if I was going to talk to a child, I would say, what do you do that's fun? You know, what's your favorite activity? Yeah, what's your favorite activity? You know, what's the most fun activity you do? You know, how do you like to play? What's your favorite play activity? I mean, it's coming up a lot to me that work and play, just the words work and play. I know I've said this before, but I think it's an important point. I think it's a very third dimensional concept. This idea you go to work all week and then, you can play in whatever you want at the weekend, but it's never quite enough to raise your frequency as much as you want. It's never quite enough to expand into bringing you more abundance or financial security from it. Just keeps it at bay, gets you through that week. I mean, this paradigm has to go now. And I know it's not easy. Leaving the day job, I know it's not easy because we have all these programs and hang-ups on money as well, which I am going to do a video about that as well, because it's coming up so much. But I think what she's saying is releasing these expectations of how our life is meant to be or how our life should be, especially if it's related to, keeping up with the Joneses and, having a certain car and having a certain house, living in a certain area, having a certain lifestyle, So here's a question for you this week. The way you think you should be, the lifestyle you think you should be having, right? We know we don't like the word should, that's why I'm doing this. But you know what I mean. Has it been programmed into you? Parents, society, school, government, I don't know what. Has it been programmed into you? And no blame, we're not blaming anybody. I mean, our parents have equally been programmed. Our schools and teachers have equally been programmed. I mean, but I'm just asking you, is it a lifestyle that's being programmed into you? Are you striving to achieve something that actually you don't need? Or are you striving to achieve something which actually is going to crumble with the systems that are coming down at the moment? I mean, really, if we're going to look at this whole new paradigm, this whole new earth, it's a whole new mentality. That's what she's saying to me. She's saying, let go of all your expectations. Who you thought you were going to be, how you thought you were going to live, where you thought you were going to live, who you thought you were going to live with, and the lifestyle that you thought you were going to live. Let go of it all. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Okay? You're the divine creator of your own reality, right? But it's about letting go of the expectation. It's about letting go of the attachment to the outcome. And it boils down to loving what is. Loving what is. I think sometimes when we open our hearts, and I know that you guys watching have open hearts and are on this journey, and that definitely the people that I've read for privately are just special, star seeds, doing their thing, sharing their joy and their passions. And it makes me feel quite emotional when I think about the power and the positivity and the love and the expression of divinity that I see in people moving forward to create this new earth. It's a powerful place to be, but I think we still have some programming to let go of. The way we thought things were going to be, or the way that we thought our life was going to be. Because when we were growing up, we were in such a different environment, such a society that is now literally crumbling. So all these systems that are coming down, it's really shaking up our expectations of what the new is. But you know what? We don't need to have any expectations what the new is. It's about trusting. It's about trusting, isn't it? And just knowing. I mean, trust is one thing. It sounds like when you trust, there's a little bit of, there's an energy of kind of, oh, I'm going to risk it and trust it, But there's a knowing. When you start trusting and trusting becomes your second nature, then you have this inner knowing. It's like, I have no idea where my life is going, but I have an inner knowing that it's just going to get better and better and better and better and more glorious and more divine. I can feel it. I know it. That's what this card is about, because the second card is the sun. It's the most positive card in the deck. I love this card. It's so powerful. It is the sun. It's the light. Sun is the light, right? The sun is light and natural power, I want to say. We learn it in school when we're growing our mustard seeds or whatever we're growing in year 3. I've done it so many times. And you put one in the cupboard where there's no light. You put one without water, right? And then you put one in the windowsill and everything. And you see how they grow. We know that living organisms need light, but it's not just light, is it? Because we know now that we are light beings. We know now that love is light. We know that it's all light and sound. We know the universe is created on frequencies of light and sound and love, and it's all the glorious energy. So when we talk about the light, we're not just talking about sunlight or daylight saving hours or whatever. We're talking about who you are, the energy of who you are coming in. And that's why you know, putting your bare feet in the earth, whether it be mud, grass, sand, whatever, in the sea, wherever, but you put your bare feet in Mother Nature, plug yourself in and turn your face to the sun, even if the sun's behind a cloud, I want to say. So, and those of you experiencing storms at the moment, you might want to wait a couple of days, but you plug yourself in, put your feet into the Mother Nature, into the sand, I want to say, but into Mother Nature, your face towards the sun, and then just feel yourself filling up with light energy, Mother Earth's energy, the sun being the masculine energy, Mother Earth being the feminine energy. There's no better way to balance your energies. It's all masculine and feminine being balanced gloriously within you. And that's one of the most beautiful ways to do it. And it's like topping up your batteries, literally. So this is about making the most of sunlight. And if there's no sun, then you can make the most of daylight. But it's about understanding that you are light and that just being outdoors. And I know the weather's bad in some places, but just getting outdoors, opening windows, let's say, fresh air. It's so important because it's more than air. It's what we breathe is who we are. I want to say that again because it felt really powerful. What we breathe in is who we are, which brings me into not restricting it in any way. Don't restrict yourself bringing in who you are through your breath. I have got a video on, I think it's about how to breathe yourself to greater health. I'll put a link in the description and the video in the end screen because that's coming up for me, coming up now as being relevant. With this card, the rays of the sun are spiritual guidance. Now, I know you're being spiritually guided and you know that, you can feel it, it's your intuition. When I do cards for people, I never tell them anything they don't already know on some level, but it's that density of the third dimension, it's that density and programming that we've had, that our humans have had, that stops us from believing and stops us from, you know, really taking the leaps of faith that our soul wants us to take. And so that's often what comes up is that tapping into that higher level of consciousness that's so important for us at this time. The horses show positive movement forward, you see, and the child, I've been interpreting this lately as one, the inner child work that you're all doing, and I know that you're all working. You wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't working on releasing the density of the physical body with the purpose of raising your frequency. And that often involves inner child work or inner younger person work, or releasing the trapped emotions, the limiting beliefs, and the programming that she's talking about. It's just that it goes on and on. Every time we release some limiting beliefs, we realize that there are more there to be released because we've got these programmed expectations of how the world should be, or how the world can be, and we still we're not afraid of our weaknesses, we're afraid of our power. This is coming up so much a lot lately, that we're afraid of our power. Well, it's not as much we're afraid of it, we don't believe it. We don't believe that we have the power that we have. So one interpretation of this is the inner child work that is ongoing. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but it's just being aware. It's understanding and awareness. Okay, if you're new to your inner child journey and you're new to healing and emotions and your beliefs and how you can master them, then I recommend my Lessons in Awakening on YouTube, right here on YouTube, to take a look at those. There's a whole series of them that covers certain what I call them Lessons in Awakening, but certain, spiritual steps in the path. I think the path of evolution. But the other definition of interpretation of this baby is the rebirth, because when we let go of all of this expectation, okay, and don't attach to any outcome, which is easy to do when you have an inner knowing. It's quite scary because we're so used to planning our life out, and she is actually a planner because she's a sword, but today she's saying let go of all of that, let go of the expectations, let go of the old plans, let go of the old beliefs about where your life is meant to be going. I want to say be a rebel. Of course, be a rebel. Why is it that those that follow their hearts are often labeled rebels? Think about it. So anyway, so this is the rebirth that comes. There is an absolute rebirth. When you're born, you have no idea where you're going, what you're doing. You are literally reliant on Mother Nature and the universe's energies. So it's a bit like that. Keeping your mind open to everything, but attached to nothing. I think that's the summary of this card at the moment. Keeping your mind open to anything and everything, but attached to nothing. Okay, so there is a rebirth coming in. The rebirth is coming in because we're letting go of our expectations. There's our happy families. It doesn't have to be blood families, but it can be, obviously. Blood families, our tribe, our new communities. Cups, as we know, is intuition, spirituality, creativity. It's emotionally fulfilling. We've got the rays again, showing spiritual guidance. The 10 is a completion. It's just happy families. It's the whole community. I see their community. And it's celebration and joy. And they're living a life that they didn't expect. And they are living a life that anyone my age was not brought up to live. We weren't brought up to embrace this new way of living. And I find it, it makes so much sense to me because I've always had a dream or a vision. It's not so much a dream, it's a vision of a certain vision of me dancing in a meadow with daisies and making daisy chains with children, and it's so real. I can feel it. It's so real. It's like just a repeated vision. I'm not consciously dreaming it. I'm not consciously aiming to create that. It's just a vision that I feel myself in so readily, and there are kind of like I don't know, temporary accommodations, I don't know how to put it, caravans, tents, that kind of community around me, like it's some kind of fair or some kind of, I don't know, celebration or some kind of new way of living. I don't know, I've never really thought about it like that, but it's a vision that comes to me all the time. And it's not just a vision that I see, it's an experience that I can feel. And it's always been with me. And now I think that's because that's it. Everything happens. Yeah, everything's happening at the same time and we're tapping into it, remember? So there is no future, there is no past. Everything is in existence already. And we experience it depending on our resonance with it. So when we resonate with things, we experience them. So it's all about raising your frequency. So obviously that vision and that experience that I have in my mind's eye, I'm not at that frequency yet because I'm not experiencing that yet. It's going to be really fun, isn't it? If I suddenly find myself in that situation, I'd be like, yay. But it just shows that this is how people can like see the future. We're not seeing the future. It's a case of tapping into higher levels of frequency. where those futures already exist. And just seeing what it's like, and you get to experience it based on your frequency. Anyway, that's what I'm getting from this card, is it's that happy community living, yeah, just led by the heart, lots of creativity, lots of support for everybody doing what they came here to do, everybody expressing their divine gifts. And oh, okay, we've got to let go of the programming. I mean, she's got the butterflies in her crown and the butterfly on her throne, which is the transformation that comes, the rebirth that comes when we let go of the way we thought things were going to be. But it's not, it's a positive thing. It's not a bad thing. We just never dreamt, we never dreamt that life could be this joyous. But it's probably much simpler. It's a simpler way of living. I think it's much more living off the land, living off the land, much more connected to nature. I want to say much more artistically expressive. I want to say, it's a world, very different from the one that most of us have been programmed to expect. But, the good news is we get to create it. You create it with your frequency, you create it with your thoughts, you create it with where you put your attention. And if it's something like, something that inspires you, something that excites you, something that you feel like you resonate with, that's what you're going to create. That's what you're going to create. Wow, that's beautiful. I like that reading today. Let go of your expectations and go with the flow, and not only trust, but trust to such an extent that it becomes a knowing, an inner knowing that the universe has your back. Of course it does. You are the creator. You're creating it all. Why would you not create glory and splendor? I love you all. Get in touch if you want a private reading. I would love to read for you privately. So get in touch if you'd like to book one. And I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.